Yeah, so 6.5 years ago, I was playing five-a-side at the Trafford Centre, and I was tackled and fell into a wall, and I knocked myself out and fractured my skull. So when I fell over, nothing broke my fall, and from that I had my traumatic brain injury. I was admitted to Salford Royal. I don't remember any of this. I just remember waking up the next day in the bed, still in my football clothes. It's a huge change, and still is now. So after being discharged from Salford Royal after a week, I had extreme headaches. I wasn't able to drive. I had to submit my licence to the DVLA. My concentration levels were very poor. My memory, still now, short-term memory is problematic. We had a toddler. My wife and I had an 18-month-old little boy. I wasn't able to look after him because I used to fall asleep during the day. And even now, there are some difficulties that are still ongoing. So things like facial recognition. After I was discharged from hospital, I did neuropsychological testing here at Salford Royal, and one of the things that I scored very poorly on was facial recognition. Now, sometimes this is embarrassing when you meet someone for the first time, you have a meeting with them one-to-one, and then the very next day you see them again and there's no recognition. Some people say to me, oh yeah, well I have that as well, but before my accident I was very good at it, annoyingly good for my wife, that I could always remember people, and it was good in my various roles when you're networking and you're able to meet people and remember them and talk about your common issues. So that's been frustrating. Just before I had my accident, I had set up a new mental health service for one of the local Mind organisations, Stockport Mind. And so when I came back to work, so I was discharged from hospital after I had a sick note for 5 weeks, and then my phased return was 1 week of working 10 till 4, and then the week after I went back to work full time. So I had 4 new members of staff. I was managing a wellbeing community centre. I was still setting up the service, and I just couldn't do it. There were so many, as I said earlier, with my headaches and concentration and everything being so new, I was really struggling. So the line management of the staff was taken away from me. That was agreed. My manager was very supportive and very understanding, and did as much as he could really to enable me to stay in the role. And after a few months, we both realised that I needed additional support. So I went to my GP and asked for a referral to an occupational therapist. The occupational therapist came out to see me, and within 5 minutes had referred me to the brain injury unit in Chester, because I live in Cheshire, so I'm covered by the Cheshire and Wirral Partnership. And from then, Bernie, my occupational therapist, was able to meet with my manager and me and talk about a phased return after I'd had 3 months of leave. Because I was a new starter, this meant that I wasn't paid, so I was on statutory sick pay. So earlier when I said it was, it was life-changing, just in my well-being, my physical well-being, but also financially as well. The first thing that Bernie, my occupational therapist, asked me to do was do a pain diary, really, of my headaches, so that we could manage the pain, and I could take painkillers as and when needed, because sometimes I used to think, well, I'll grin and bear it, but that's counterproductive. Bernie and I used to meet with Richard, my manager, and the phased return this time was 3 mornings a week, and my role changed. So rather than managing the new mental health service, I was given one-off special projects. So I wrote and delivered training and wrote new tender bids for new business for the organisation. And this, it meant that I could concentrate on single tasks rather than having to juggle lots of different things. I think one of the things that I would have liked to have changed was the timeline for that. So I referred myself to the occupational therapist, but I think if the trust and the GP and the trust room, the brain injury unit were more joined up, that transition could have been smoother, really. I think people say that time is a great healer, and I am still learning about my brain injury and how it affects me. But some of the things that I've done to help me and the organisations that I've worked for include having a voice recorder for meetings so that I can concentrate on the meeting rather than take notes all the time. Working from home, I do part-time hours now, so I do 28 hours rather than full-time. And I think if the person feels supportive and is able to talk through issues, then jointly you can come up with solutions. And whether that is from an outside organisation that knows a lot about neuro rehab, then that certainly helps, because I know the support that I've had from my OT has been invaluable. And when I change jobs, I meet with my new manager and my occupational therapist, and we look at the reasonable adjustments that might be needed. At the moment, sometimes now I work in an open plan office, so I have ear defenders that are able to block out and try and not make me distracted by the background noise, because that for me is one of the huge issues, that sensory distraction, and me not having a filter around noise and light. I think, as I said earlier, I am still learning, I am still recovering, and the understanding and empathy from people that you're working with is very helpful. And if me speaking about it helps other people, then I'm very pleased about that.